American patriots, this is a plea. As Reagan once said, we are one generation away from our freedoms being extinct. Fast forward to today, I believe we are one election away from our freedoms being extinct. We can no longer be complacent. We must stand up and fight for America First conservatives at all levels of politics. I will refuse to be the generation to explain to my kid what freedom was like. Decades of damage has been done. It's our time. It's our country. It's our freedoms. You are listening to the Light of Liberty podcast.
This is Kathy Barnett. I just heard the good news about the Supreme Court overturning Roe versus Wade. I'm so excited, and I just want to welcome all of you beautiful babies that are to be. Welcome, and especially to all the little Kathy Jeans out there. Welcome. Welcome. I'm so very grateful that you will have the opportunity to live. So now to the rest of us, let's get busy because now this goes back to the state. But I just wanted to say, welcome, babies.
Historical moment. What a historical moment in our country right now. What's your thoughts on this?
I think it's a miracle. I'm so thrilled. I've cried about this. We prayed about. Everybody here is celebrating, but the Supreme Court had the courage. They had the bravery, overturning Roe versus Wade, giving it back to the states, and hopefully this can be the beginning to the end of abortion. So I think we know God is real, and I think we know that prayer works, and I'm just so overjoyed. And God bless everyone that's worked on it.
Welcome to the Light of Liberty podcast, where we spread the America First agenda to safeguard our freedoms. And boy, was a freedom safeguarded today. It's a glorious day as we learn the Supreme Court has overturned Roe versus Wade. Rejoice this one, patriots, because we're continuing this fight, this narrative control. We just saw it all this week, how it shifted from one side to the other side, starting with the traitors of the GOP signing on to this unconstitutional gun legislation. Then we saw the Supreme Court shut down the gun bill in New York, which was unconstitutional, which is good. And then we end the week with Roe is no more. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness has held true today, and June 24th, 2022 will go down in history and celebrated for years to come.
Yes, it will. Yeah, so we've been leading up to this for a while now. Weeks ago, we had the leak that came out of the Supreme Court that there was an opinion letter being passed around about Roe v. Wade. It's been a hot topic for a while. Everybody pretty much knew. Well, we didn't know, but the assumption was it was going to get overturned. And then this week they started out, they pushed the release date back. This was supposed to come out yesterday, Thursday, but they asked for another day for the opinions or something like that. So yesterday they did release the New York lawsuit where they found it unconstitutional.
Yeah.
So that was big news. Set a lot of left on fire yesterday. The mayor of New York, he's on camera screaming and, having a hysterical breakdown, vowing that it's not the end, and they're pooling all their resources, so they want to try and fight that some more. And then today, we get the release this afternoon that, sure enough, Roe v. Wade, they go and overturn it.
It is gone. The Constitution is constantly under attack, but the Supreme Court finally got this right. Over 50 or 60 years, however long it's been. Let's give it back to the states. Let the states decide. And as you see, I think Missouri already came out to ban abortion. Their AG signed saying it's illegal to have abortions.
Jump on the bandwagon.
I believe I think there's about 25 states already with some sort of abortion bill in the works or ready to just completely end it.
Yeah,
And that's
you're right.
huge.
It's been almost 50 years, though. It's February 1973.
Yeah, and I mean, we heard Kathy at the beginning to start the show, and just, you could hear it in the emotion in her voice, and just that rejoicing sound, and I loved what she said there, and she just summed it up perfectly for the future of our children and the future generations to come.
And she's one of the best people we can go to listen to information on that. If you haven't heard Kathy's story, look it up. There's videos out there and stuff. Listen to Kathy's story, and you'll understand why she was such a proponent of getting rid of this.
You'll understand why she was the first person I looked for her opinion and see what she said about the decision today. And that was her first video that she put up, and I knew it would be just as good as what it was. It was incredible.
Yeah, she speaks from the heart, and you can hear her emotion in the voice. Hear the emotion in her voice.
Yep, absolutely.
We have a lot to possibly look forward to this weekend. Then, with these two major decisions coming out of the Supreme Court.
Yeah. One side celebrating, the other side
they
doesn't look
are.
pretty.
Yeah, I mean. Are we going to see riots in the cities again?
They promised.
I mean, I think the protests started outside the Supreme Court, this morning. We had supporters there and protesters there, but we know what happens when it gets dark out, and it happens on.
Be prepared.
There's been a lot of talk. It's
Be
always
prepared.
wondered, why is this staged? Why was this set up to do both of these major releases at the end of the work week, which we've seen this happen before in like different court cases when verdicts are released like right before a weekend and we see cities burn. It's like, what's the thinking here? Why are they doing this right now?
Well, Pride Month, it's not going so well anymore, huh? It's Life Month now. This is incredible news. It's sending a shockwave across this nation. As Jen has said, talking before this show, it's going to divide us. It's not going to bring us together because it's such a huge topic for voters, and it always has been. So moving forward, where do we see this going, Jen?
Well, we'll find out. Basically, one of the things logically that you have to also look at is that, especially with Roe versus Wade, is that similar to with them wanting to do the climate change agenda, is that you have to have a backup in place, to replace whatever you were replacing. And if they're going to do away with Roe versus Wade, then the support definitely needs to be there for women who are going to have babies, throughout the whole stages, And I'm, like I said, I myself, could not have children. I wish I could. And I cannot ever see myself ever terminating a pregnancy. And I think there are some cases where that would be valid, even though I never could do it myself. But you can't just take something out without having a backup and having the support there for women. So you also have to look at that as well. So it is a major victory for life, definitely. And that's great, because the one thing that you don't want is you don't want abortion to be used as basically a means of birth control, where it can just be, over and over again. You get pregnant, you have an abortion, you get pregnant, you have an abortion. And the thing I don't agree with either is that it's always at the taxpayer's expense for other people's irresponsibility. Now, guaranteed things happen, rape happens, incest and whatnot. And, there are certain, cases where, abortion may be justified. But there's also the fact that, if it is going to be done, it needs to be done within a very short amount of time. And that's why they make the morning after pill. There should be no late term abortion up to, 6, 7, 8, 9 months. It's completely ridiculous.
Or even after birth.
Or even after birth,
right?
And I think that it can be done in a way that would benefit everyone, if it's done right.
They do keep statistics on the on abortions. I guess they hand out questionnaires or something to these women that are in the clinics. I think the number one thing is they are using it as birth control. Everybody brings up about rape, when it comes to abortion, but that's almost like an insignificant percentage number in all the numbers that I've seen. That's not the main reason women are going there to have abortions.
That's correct.
And the demographics that come out of these studies, out of these questions, is, who's impacted the most by the by abortions. But having a support system for them in place of having abortions, we can have a limited support system, I believe, but if we do too much again, there's no repercussions for these actions of a lot of these women who are having abortions just as a form of birth control, as an afterthought. If it's too easy, they're going to find other ways, or they're going to keep doing it. And in spite, you'll probably see a lot of these women having their babies now, feeling they're forced to have their babies, and then dumping them off on the child services, on adoption agencies and foster care, and overwhelming and burdening that system even more.
Yeah, but we can fund those systems a little bit better if we stop funding places like Planned Parenthood and things like that. So
yeah, we definitely need to do that.
If we can funnel into there, but I'm curious how much more with banning this, will women be more responsible?
I hope so.
Or will we actually see an increase in population and an increase in births?
Well,
I don't think we'll see that large of an increase of births. I think maybe a little bit more responsibility should come with it, because that's where it should be. I mean, at the end of the day, I know, Jen, you would have some sort of exemptions and things like that, and you would agree with that. At the end of the day, a life is a life to me, and you're killing a life.
Well, yeah, most definitely. But the biggest thing,
I'm not. My tax money should not be going to that at all.
I agree. I don't.
Or even to a place that does it, because you give it to a place that does it, and you're going to tell me it might not be for abortions, but now that frees up their funds to have those procedures done.
Yes.
So my tax money shouldn't go there.
No. But my biggest issue is that if same thing with, like they want to ban gas powered vehicles and whatnot and go all electric. You can't do that overnight. And that's the issue, is that if you ban abortions overnight, it's going to be chaos. It's something that has to have a gradual progression into, and that's basically, it needs to be thought out ahead of time and implemented slowly. And like I said, I mean, I'm all for pro-life, but you have to do it in a way that it's not going to create a lot of chaos. It's the same way that it would if you took all gas-powered engines and just banned them tomorrow and said it's electric vehicles only. It doesn't work.
We're not going to see an all-out ban, though, because this decision by the Supreme Court it turns these decisions back to the states.
Yes, correct.
And we have certain states out there who are going to keep abortion on their books. I mean, you're not going to get this out of there in, say, New York or California.
Yeah.
Or I'm not sure about New Jersey.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
California, absolutely no way. I think it's that you can abort after pregnancy.
And we've already seen with the leak weeks ago, certain companies coming out already saying that they were going to give employees travel money if they wanted to seek an abortion outside of the state if that state didn't support it. Amazon was one of those companies that they're going to pay, if you live, when Mastriano gets in as governor of Pennsylvania and we say bye-bye to abortion in Pennsylvania, Amazon employees in Pennsylvania here, they can get paid to drive to another state, fly to another state, whatever, and get their abortion.
And they probably will.
We'll see how long that lasts.
But the thing is that again, that there has to be a gradual. You just can't. There's been decades of irresponsibility where people have just used it as abortion as birth control, and you can't expect people overnight to just all of a sudden turn responsible. It doesn't happen, and that's where you need that gradual change over to incorporate and again help for those that need assistance, that need help, that want to have their babies and whatnot. And you need that gradual progression into that, because decades of irresponsibility just doesn't change overnight.
Yeah. It doesn't, but in my opinion, I want it to be changed overnight. So I will respectfully disagree with that, because a life is a life, and we can't waste any more of those lives if we're going to gradually go like what Missouri did. Bam, they got it done.
But then they should be right now drawing up bills to also help people that need help. And,
sure.
And that's my point, is that,
right.
If they're doing that right now, they should also be drawing up bills that are going to help people as well.
To a certain extent. And we have to look very, very closely at those bills.
Yes.
But it's time to grow up. It's time to grow up and close your legs. I and be responsible. And you can hate me for saying that, but be responsible. I mean, understand your body and how important that is to you, and your faith, or what you believe in. Like,
well, I don't know if any of the abortion clinics are state operated. Are they?
They're funded.
They get funding from the states, yes, but the state doesn't have really control of that. I mean, I think they're private enterprises, aren't they? Or Planned Parenthood's a national establishment. But so drafting up bills for support, to compensate for putting these other companies out of business, I don't know if that's the way to go either.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, and there has to be, I mean, we already know that there's the foster care system, there's the adoption system in every state that is already a backup to it. If you're going to have your baby, right there's two options for you for your support system, or you have to draw on family. If you don't have family, churches, I mean, plenty of churches are going to support people.
Yeah, churches do a lot.
So I think there's already an infrastructure for a support system there now that we don't need to make more laws and more bills that hampers the system.
Yeah, that's what we don't want. So, but I think it can I think it can be done.
I mean, as a support system, where the information's there, because again, the churches do a lot. They do help a lot, but there needs to be a system where these women can go for support, or for help, for whatever that will help them throughout their pregnancy, because most of them, again, for the ones that use it irresponsibly as birth control, if they're used to just getting an abortion every time they get pregnant, then that's a learned behavior that they've had over time. And there needs to just be a support system there that helps them get out of that mindset and out of that system.
Yeah, but I think this can just shock them. Like something like this, and a law in states that uphold this can be this is it. Like that can flip the mindset right there with like, okay, I got to stop because I'm going to have this child.
They already had the warning system weeks ago when,
Yeah, we're going to look back.
Pretty much all of the world knew this decision was coming up.
Generations from now, we're going to look back at Roe v. Wade and all of these abortions and the genocide of it all, and how this was our modern day slavery. And I believe that. And today, I think we ended that with the opinion from the Supreme Court.
Because I will say, for what abortion has become is horrific. It was, it should never have become what it has become ever.
Yeah. And then, we can dive into really crazy rabbit holes on abortion clinics and harvesting of parts and this and that and selling of parts and, and adrenochrome and whatever you really want to dive into. But we're not going to do that on this show. But we will. All those conspiracy theories, right? That could all end. And
we're going to fill it in with more conspiracy theories.
Sure.
We have plenty of them. Yeah. Hey, but sometimes theory turns into reality.
Hey, what is it? What's the difference between a conspiracy and facts?
6 months.
6 months. About 6 months. I love that one. What was else in the news? So,
what isn't in the news?
If you haven't checked it out yet, our last episode, we had an interview with Dr. Frank. Fantastic interview. If you missed it, go check it out.
Great man.
Go to Rumble right now. We talk about the state of our elections and election integrity and what is being done and what needs to be done and what's being focused on right now. So please go to our Rumble channel, subscribe for future videos, but watch that video. You're not gonna regret it. And that's something that we've been talking a lot lately about the elections coming up this November, especially in Pennsylvania, where we believe that the way Pennsylvania goes this November will be the way the nation goes. And we got to rally the troops and get behind Doug Mastriano and get him into Harrisburg. And we're concerned.
Rightfully so.
We have major concerns with our election system. We've got mail-in ballots, mail-in voting. We've got these ballot drop boxes. We got these Zuckerberg machines, which we just learned about in that Dr. Frank episode. So please check it out.
Yeah.
But we have certain grassroots movements in Pennsylvania. Some really strong ones. Audit the Vote PA is really working hard on the elections and figuring out ways if we need to. I'm trying to ping pong ideas off the top of my head, but do we have to sit next to ballot boxes in Montgomery County come November and the end of
we need
October?
An Overwatch.
Do we need to hound these election board members and to eliminate the drop boxes like they did in Lancaster County the day before the primary? They eliminate their drop box for good.
Yeah, and I wonder, that's something, a stat we should try and find out. So in Lancaster County, when they got rid of the boxes, what was their voter turnout? I mean, did that hamper their voter turnout, or did the people decide?
Yeah, we can look into it, but it was weird because because if they removed it the day before, there were ballots in there. I don't think they were counted, but I'd have to look it up. I'm not really sure.
And people who hadn't already dropped their ballots off already, too, no, they could have just turned those in at the polling locations.
Sure, yeah, but we need to get rid of no excuse mail-in ballots. The ballot drop boxes have got to go, and
we need poll watchers.
I think we just learned that these machines have got to go.
Yes, I mean, it's definitely come out. I mean, and the evidence is there. And this is, what we've learned. We learned a lot talking to Dr. Frank.
Yeah. And if you are in Montgomery County, that is the hot spot for fraud. Montgomery County. I live in Montgomery County. So we need to get a list of the drop boxes, get a list of where each voting machine, precincts are still using voting machines, but who used to be the commissioner of Montgomery County?
Oh, don't put me on the spot for that one.
Wasn't it Shapiro? Josh Shapiro before Gale, before he became the AG. I'm pretty sure. I'll look it up though. But
all right, search that one out.
I'm pretty sure
just to confirm.
Shapiro was a commissioner.
I don't want to say, let's look it up because we'd like to try and, be honest here.
Hang tight, listeners.
Yeah, and, don't always take our word for it. We want you to do your own research also. And, Josh is busy doing a little research right now during the podcast.
Joshua David Shapiro, he was a lawyer, politician, blah, blah, blah.
Jen, you were going to say something?
I was just going to say that there should be no reason to have drop boxes. If anything, if people are going to drop it off, it should be dropped off at the polling place where you vote.
No, we don't even need that.
if it would even come down to that. But
here's the thing:
if you can get to the polling location,
you can
just vote.
Listen, mail your ballot or drop box. You can't have both. What's easier than just going to your mailbox and putting it in the mailbox than taking it to a drop box?
I still think that if they're going to do any type of absentee ballot,
I
because
agree.
that's tracked and from the get go.
And we've never been opposed to absentee ballots.
Because we've
our
done the
opposition.
absentee
We
ballot.
try and always speak clearly. Our opposition is this no excuse mail-in ballot, which put me on the spot. I could just call it lazy. You can give me all the excuses you want, and I will find 100 other excuses showing where whatever excuse you give me, you've done the exact same thing for a million other things or waste your time. I can find. We all waste our time during the day. I don't know anybody who doesn't waste a certain amount of time. So I'll pick you apart and, find out where your wasted time is that you could have gone and voted.
Yeah. So here you go. Josh Shapiro, chairman of the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners.
What year was that?
It was before 2017 because he's been the AG since. So in 2004, he was in the Pennsylvania House of Representatives where he won. Shapiro won election to the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners in 2011.
Yeah, see, so this is just another guy trying to make a lifelong career out of politics.
And here's another concern of mine. One of the commissioners one of the chairmen is Gale. Is it? What's his first name?
I forget.
He ran for governor in the Republican primary. So he's a Republican commissioner, but I don't think he's a friend of ours because he has attacked Mastriano during the primary. I mean, those are tactics to use. So I don't know his position after the primary now.
Was it Joe?
And Joe Gale
Maybe Joe.
is he's a pretty radical Republican. Pretty far right. I think almost could be even further right than Doug, but I don't know from. I know he's gotten in trouble before, but I don't know if he's a friend of Mastriano. So Montgomery County.
Well, we know we're a friend of Mastriano.
We are.
Joseph Gale, commissioner.
Yes.
Oh, here we go. How about I do this too? Here at the Light of Liberty podcast, we officially endorsed Doug Mastriano for governor of Pennsylvania.
There you go.
There you go. There's our official. There's our official endorsement.
The official
Doug
endorsement.
for Gov.
Doug for Gov. We've been behind this man for a few years now, and we were hoping he was going to run. He is the absolute best person in this moment in time to run for this position.
Yes.
He will set us free.
Yes. We need to go back to the old ways of voting, though.
Walk as free people.
Oh yeah,
and I guarantee. And
paper and pen.
Yeah,
That's
paper
what
and
we want to
pen,
see.
and his legislation could do it.
Yep.
That's who makes the election laws, not the governor, not the Secretary of State, the state legislators. That's who makes the election laws.
Yeah. I mean, there's no reason why there's the mail-in ballots. The absentee ballot has always been a good system that's been tracked, and there's no reason why they just can't do regular paper ballots when you go into the polling place, and then also have absentee ballot for those who can't make it. And I think you're going to have a cleaner, fairer election because of that. And if you get rid of all the other
but voter suppression.
I think the action itself of paper and pen is going to eliminate so much of the fraud because the frauds, they're just, they're lazy. They're not going to sit there and want to fill out all these ballots by hand.
Hey, when I was young, I sat there and I was a counter.
They did it in 2020.
I know they can do it, but
they dropped all the
They like it now, though, with the
Dropboxes.
computers and the programming that just does all the work for them so much faster and on a much higher prolific scale.
Now I stayed.
Yeah.
I stayed after the election, and as they counted the votes, I had to sit there and double check and make sure that they counted the correct number of votes, and all the results were in that night. There's no 1 day, 3 day, week, like nothing. I mean, the tally, everything was done that night.
Not
And
that
we're
hard,
seeing
is
it's
it?
more accurate, hand counting votes nowadays than what the
look at-
computer tabulations
yeah.
are doing.
So-
Down in Georgia, was it?
Georgia. So voter GA has just filed a lawsuit. Okay, let me bring this up. We talked about this in a previous episode of ours. I believe it was Collab County. Forget what district. I had it right here. I am just not prepared today.
Well, that's all right.
So, voter GA exposes startling irregularities, files lawsuit challenging 159 Georgia counties. So, this was from the DeKalb District 2 Commissioner race, if you remember. I believe it was the third place finisher on election
You had
day.
3 people running.
During the hand recounted, and that third place finisher on election day won the recount. There was like a 4,000 vote swap. It was incredible. And the only way that she knew was because she realized some precincts she had 0 votes in. One of those precincts her and her husband lived in. Unbelievable.
Maybe she forgot to vote for herself, right?
So they are filing suit in Georgia saying that they have evidence and challenging 159 Georgia counties
Well, Greg,
that shifted thousands of election day votes from one candidate to another. That's incredible.
Yeah, the shift just happens.
Greg, look at your provisional ballot vote, where how long that took to be counted, and that wasn't even counted when they were about ready to do the recount for McCormick and Oz.
Yes, and not only mine, it would have been how many others weren't,
Well, when I had looked on the site previously, even it was provisional ballots for even Montgomery County at that point was 0. So I don't know out of how many counties the provisional ballots at that point were even counted, because at least of what I saw, the provisional ballots said 0 in several counties.
And it was extremely slow to get the results of it, but I did track it. I had a tracking number for my provisional ballot. I checked it regularly, and one day I did check it then, and it told me my vote was counted. And then I think the following week in the mail, I received a letter in the mail about my provisional ballot, and it said that my vote was counted. So not only was I able to verify and track it, I actually received in the mail a notification letter saying it happened. You know what I mean? So the system for the old-fashioned, pen and paper system, it worked.
Yeah, so voter GA, all 159 Georgia counties, they want to unseal the ballots and get the results. They're saying that all the candidates deserve to know what happened. So
If they kept them.
So here, listen to this. So they filed an open records request, right, to obtain electronic copy of election certification signed by a county board or a probate judge. So far, 81 counties have been unable to produce 2022 primary certifications. 73 have failed to comply with the ORR, the open records request, and 40 requests are in progress out of 159.
That's
so
what I
if you
was.
have nothing to hide, then
And
what's
so
the problem?
Voter GA further noted that they had collected 38 valid certifications so far.
I was seeing these reports after the 2020 election that states were already disposing of the records. Dominion was coming in, grabbing all their machines so they could wipe their machines. You know what I mean? This is destroying evidence. These records, this stuff is supposed to be kept. I forget how many years.
Like your tax records.
That this stuff is supposed to be retained. But, the thing is, what are you going to get, a slap on the wrist for, not keeping these records or destroying them?
Yeah.
Compared to if you knew you were doing something illegal and you want to hide it, you're going to take the slap on the wrist rather than keeping this risky evidence and letting it come out.
Here's one last thing I thought was pretty interesting. In the press conference revealed that the Washington Post reported 37,000 Democrats crossed over to vote Republican in the 2022 Georgia primary.
Well, Washington Post,
and that
I don't
only
trust them.
That only accounts for 3% of the voters and 6% of.
Yeah, I'm not going to worry too much about those numbers when you're saying it's coming from the Washington Post.
They're reporting it though.
I know, and they don't want to report things like that. That strikes me as fishy when they're reporting something of that nature. That's not the type of stuff they report. They like to bash the right.
I hear you. And
just
journalistic terrorism.
Right, I know.
There,
just because
I
gotta hold off on that one. Just because it sounds good to what we want to hear when it's coming from them. Even if it sounds too good to be true, maybe it is. I don't know.
It could be, but who knows?
We got. I don't know. We have faith in what we believe happened, and what we're seeing. The evidence continue to pile up and come out, and hopefully, with God granted enough time, we will get answers. Some answers, some more insight, some validation. It's never going to fix it. It's never going to make up for what happened.
No, but we got to make sure it doesn't happen again.
We got to do what we can to prevent it. That there's always going to be attacks on the system. And, the more we try and bulletproof the system, the more modern day measures they try to put in, they're not measures against bad things happening. They turn out to be the Trojan horse that causes the problems, lets the problems in.
I hear you. But you know what? Today is a glorious day.
Well, it's tonight now here.
So we will continue to celebrate with you great patriots, because this was a victory and we will take it as a victory and
take all the victories. This was one battle.
There will be many more to come. And like we've always said, we lose some, we win some. This is a huge one to win. Right. And let's focus on the future. Let's focus on fixing these problems and moving forward and getting America First agenda back on track.
And for states rights again, for the states to be able to have a say in their laws.
Yeah, because this is the United States of America, right?
That's exactly it. And with that, I think we can wrap this one up. I think
so. So remember, love your freedom, believe in your freedom, defend your freedom. Freedom's everything. Please check us out on Rumble. Subscribe, share, spread the truth, spread this America First agenda. That's where it's at. Good night, guys.
Have a good night.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Light of Liberty podcast. Please help us share the truth and safeguard those freedoms. Follow us on Twitter at Light of1776 and listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio, and subscribe on Rumble and YouTube. And remember, Patriots, freedom is everything.